Now, obviously this bag is not going to be for you if you like to carry the kitchen sink and more in your bag. But if you are someone who can really strip down everything you need to your essentials, I would not underestimate this bag. Hey guys, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've reached for my Mini Kellys in the past year or so, but a couple of weeks ago I had the sudden urge to pull them back out, and I have to be honest with you, as soon as I started using them again, I immediately remembered how much I truly love these and why I even fell in love with them in the first place. And I know that these have been nearly impossible to get from the boutique, and it pains me to say it, but I do think that they are worth the hype. So today I thought that I could share with you, quite frankly, why I love these pieces and why I think you would love them too. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. Let's quickly touch on some of the basics of these bags. So the official name that you will see written on the box is the Kelly Mini 2, and the reason why you have that 2 there at the end is because the original Mini Kelly is usually what we customers refer to as the Kelly Pochette. Depending on who you talk to at Hermes, some people will call it the Kelly Pochette, others will call it the Mini Kelly. And the reason why there is that 2 there is so they can differentiate the difference between the two bags really easily. Now obviously there are quite a few differences between the two bags, but I find the easiest way of telling what bag you're looking at in case you're new to this whole world of Hermes mini bags is to look for a strap, because it's only the Mini Kelly or the Kelly 22, which is the other name of this bag, that comes with a shoulder strap. There are plenty of other differences that differentiate the Pochette from the Mini Kelly, but I think the easiest way of telling the difference is by looking for a strap. And as I mentioned, the other name of this bag is the Kelly 22. Now the reason why you also have that 2 behind the 20 actually has nothing to do with the size of the bag. The 20 refers to the size of the bag, which basically means that the bag measures exactly 20 centimeters at the base. And that 2 at the end actually refers to the fact that this is the second edition of a Kelly bag that is exactly 20 centimeters. There was another Kelly 20 around, I believe, in the 80s, or I think between the 80s and the 90s, which was a completely different shape from the current Mini Kellys. It was much taller, it was much larger, it featured a completely different strap, the handle was much taller. And I think the biggest difference between the original Kelly 20 and then the current version, which this launched in 2016, is the fact that the current Kelly 22 is only available in cellier structure, which means that it is a really boxy structure and you can see the top stitching on the outside, whereas the original Kelly 20, which is nowadays being referred to as the vintage version, that one came both in cellier as well as retorn structure, which means that there was a version that was more boxy and more streamlined like this. But then there was also a more laid back and relaxed version of it. So I know it can be quite confusing with all these different names and all these different terms, and that's why I wanted to kind of break it down just so you know the difference. In case you see something online that you want to pick up, or in case you're requesting a bag, you know exactly what you are putting in a request for. So this can be called the Mini Kelly 2 or the Kelly 22. And they basically mean the exact same thing. I'll probably use both terms interchangeably in today's video, but just so you know, there is a bag called the Kelly Pochette, which some people also refer to as the Mini Kelly, which doesn't come with a strap, and then the original version of the Kelly 20, which doesn't have the 2, which refers to the second edition, behind it, which is no longer in production, but that was a completely different shape. But you may still see that around at auction houses and at resellers. But let's move on to some of the reasons why I absolutely adore this bag. And actually talking about the differences between this and then the original vintage Kelly 20 is the perfect segue into why I adore this bag. which is really the proportions of the current Kelly. So as I mentioned, the original Kelly 20 was a completely different shape and structure. It was much taller, it was much wider, and at the end of the day, it was much more spacious. But the original Kelly 20 was actually much closer to the original Kelly that you know as today as the Kelly. If you compared it to a 25, a 28, you could absolutely see the evolution of how the Kelly 20 was born. Whereas if you look at this and you compare it side by side to a Kelly 20, there are so many differences. This bag is much smaller than the Kelly 25. Obviously, as the name suggests, this is only 20 centimeters. But if you compare them in terms of the proportions and the aesthetics of the bag, this is not simply a miniaturized version of a Kelly 28 or a Kelly 25. The shape and the structure is quite different. It is much more of a triangle or pyramid shape. It is much more tapered and it is quite a bit shorter than what the original Kelly looks like, which is exactly why I adore this bag. I think this is so incredibly streamlined, compact, and modern that really makes this bag stand out. I love the fact that this bag is just a tiny bit bigger than a bag that would be sold as a fashion accessory, so something like the Kelly Twilly. Obviously, the Kelly Twilly is not functional, but this bag is large enough to be functional, but it's not quite large to be called a small bag. I think it is just the perfect compromise, and the proportions of this really allow it to be just a beautiful, streamlined, fashion-forward bag, which is one of the main reasons why I love this. I think when it comes to people carrying mini bags, it really comes down to the way you style your bag and also the proportions of this bag. There are mini bags out there with these exact same measurements as this bag that I personally couldn't pull off because it would look like I'm carrying a doll's or a Barbie's bag. Whereas when it comes to these bags, the proportions and the fact that it is so tapered and so streamlined allows this to look sort of fashion forward and chic rather than looking kind of out of place and silly, if you know what I mean. Or at least that's the way I feel about these bags. So I think the first pro that has to be mentioned when it comes to the Mini Kelly is that they have the proportions packed down. It really is, I think, a masterpiece when you look at the way this is constructed. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I found out that Hermes used the golden ratio to construct this bag because the proportions are that perfect, which means that anyone out there, regardless of their frame, could easily pull this bag off. Reason number 2 why I absolutely adore these bags is the fact that they are incredibly multifaceted. They will never look out of place, and you can truly turn these into whatever you need them to be. You can use them in a more casual way, sort of as an everyday bag, but they also work great being worn with a more formal outfit. They will just never look out of place because there are so many different ways of styling it and carrying it. Obviously, there is a shoulder strap that you get with these bags, which I think is a huge plus. And the shoulder strap might not be long enough for everyone to be used as a crossbody bag comfortably, but I will move on to how you can just get the most out of your shoulder straps in case you want to use them as a crossbody bag in a second. But even if you cannot put it crossbody, you can still put it over one shoulder. And if you're petite, the shoulder strap will be long enough for you to comfortably carry it as a crossbody bag. Then you can also open the bag and use it as more of an open style bag, which makes it look a little bit larger than it actually is. But you can also just hold on to the handles and it will still look really chic and fun. The handle is not too short that you could only hold on to it with a couple of fingers. You can grab the handle and it is perfectly fine. Even I, who has larger hands, can easily hold on to it. Or you can easily just shove it under one arm and carry it as a clutch bag really, really comfortably. So I really think that the sky's the limit with these bags. You can make these work as so many different things in whatever setting you want them to work in. Unlike other small mini and micro bags that I think really truly shine when it comes to more formal events. I'm trying to think of an example, but let's say the Kelly Cut, which is very obviously a clutch bag. It can be styled with a more casual outfit, but I think it can look a little bit out of place. Whereas I don't think you'll ever have that issue with, honestly, these shapes because of the proportions. They are just so phenomenal that they really work in every setting that you could possibly need them in. And it really comes down to the styling of the rest of your outfit on how these bags will be perceived. But I personally have never struggled to carry them anywhere. I have traveled with these bags. I have used them to more formal occasions. I have also used this bag as an everyday bag for a really long time. And I honestly never felt like it looked out of place. Based on the name Mini Kelly, you would most likely assume that these don't really function as a bag. They are more like an accessory or a decorative piece. And trust me, I've had my fair share of buying pieces that promise to be a bag, but they are really not functional. But I don't find that to be the case with the Mini Kellys at all. These actually do pack quite a punch when it comes to how much you can fit into these pieces. I have worn these for traveling, and especially nowadays when we're out and about only for really short periods. I think it would really fit everything that you could possibly need with you. I actually carried this with me yesterday, so it still has everything that I need in here, which I can easily show you guys. So obviously I have an insert in this bag. As you probably know by now, I have an insert in pretty much every single one of my bags. I have a video talking about the reasons why, which I will make sure to link up here. And I will link the insert that I use in this bag down below. It is a custom insert, so you will have to measure your own bag. And based on those measurements, the company will create an insert for you. But it's honestly not any more expensive than if they just sent you one that they already have in stock. But let me show you the insert that I have in here. So this is the tiny little insert that I have in this bag. And the reason why I find it crucial to have a bag in my Mini Kellys is not really for these to support the structure of the bag, even though I believe that any bag out there can use a little bit of support from the inside out. But the main reason why I like to have an insert in these small bags is because the opening of these bags is so incredibly tight that every single time you put something in there, they will touch the side of the bag, which means that it's really easy to get them scratched up, and it's not something that Hermes can fix if that's something that bothers you. So I find these inserts to be a lifesaver when it comes to putting things like keys inside of your bag, and I really wouldn't go out without one of them in my bags at this point. But let me show you the few things that I have in here. I'm pretty sure I had a couple more things in here yesterday, but maybe I can show you that as well. Okay, let's see what we have in here. So the first thing is a little fragrance roller ball. And in case you're interested in the fragrance, this is Ebony Wood from the Jo Malone and Zara collaboration. They created a range together, I want to say mid-2020, so it has been a while since that range launched. And I only picked up one fragrance, which was Ebony Wood, and I have absolutely been loving this. It is a really soft, milky, but woody fragrance. If you like things like Santal 33, I think you would really enjoy this. It is not a dupe for Santal 33, but it is sort of on a similar vein. So if you like woody fragrances that have a really slight milky undertone to them, I think you would really enjoy this. The next thing that I have in here is my Bustier, which I have no idea why I'm carrying at this point. This is something that I picked up because I really wanted to see what the hype is all about. In case you're not familiar with the Bustier, it's basically a little coin purse. And I think I mentioned this before, I've only ever had the chance to use it once in the past nearly year. I'm still carrying this because I still have coins in here, but I think I'll probably stop doing it at one point in the near future because I honestly just never reach for it. But watch, I can guarantee that the day I take this out is the day that I will need some change with me. So I'm still holding on to it, but it's really not an essential for me, so you could easily put something else in there instead. And then last but not least, the last thing I had in here was my card holder. I just have one of these really simple Hermes card holders in here, but you can also fit a compact wallet in this. I have used this with my Burn wallet, my small Burn wallet, which fits in here without any problems. One thing that I think you would struggle with, which was surprising to me, is the Kelly Pocket, which is one of my favorite card holders. The Kelly Pocket fits in the bag, but you won't be able to actually close the bag because the twist closure of the Kelly Pocket is too wide. So that might not be something that you want to put in here, but honestly everything else just fits in here so easily. So if you have something like the Calvi or the Burn Compact, none of those would be an issue. or if you need space for something else like a lipstick or something like that, you can actually just throw a couple of cards in there and not even use a card holder. But yeah, I find that these really just fits everything that I need on a daily basis. A couple of things that I probably had in here yesterday as well. I probably had AirPods. I had most likely a lip balm because I cannot leave without a lip balm. And I'm surprised I took it out, but I must have had a lip balm with me yesterday and obviously a face mask. So it really fits everything that you could possibly need, even your phone. Let me put my phone in there. So I just put my phone in there, which is the iPhone 10, and it fits in there perfectly. If you have a larger phone, I think that might be an issue, but if you have just one of the regular iPhones, I really don't think you would struggle. So this is one of those bags that really packs a punch when it comes to how much you can fit in there. So yes, they might be a small mini bag, but that doesn't mean that they won't fit everything that you could possibly need with you on a daily basis. The next feature that I love about these bags is the thin shoulder strap that they come with. Obviously, when it comes to mini bags, a lot of them don't come with a shoulder strap, but moving forward, I don't think I'm going to be buying a lot more mini bags, but if I ever do, there are going to be two criteria that the bags have to meet. They do have to come with a shoulder strap and they have to fit at least a card, which this bag does both and so much more than that. But I think most importantly, the fact that it features a shoulder strap means that you can really make it work as so many different things, as I mentioned before. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the fact that the shoulder strap on these bags is quite a bit thinner than the strap that comes with other Hermes bags, like the regular Kelly, which is quite a bit thicker. This I would compare to the strap of the Mini Bolide. I think they feature really similar straps. And I love that it's a little bit thinner because it means that it's first of all more comfortable and easier to wear, I find. Now, if there's one thing that I could criticize, which is something that I must criticize and mention, it is the fact that the shoulder strap on the Mini Kellys is really not long enough for most people to put it on crossbody. You can make it work, but it is most likely going to be quite uncomfortable. And even though Hermes has replacement straps that you can put onto the Mini Kelly, I find most of them to be quite disproportionate when it comes to the Mini Kelly. So for example, one that has been quite popular and I have been seeing it all over Instagram recently is the Kelly Pocket shoulder strap, which I know a lot of people like to add on to these bags, or it has been a trend that's been going around. But I actually find the strap to be quite disproportionate when it comes to this bag. I think it just doesn't look consistent. It's way too overwhelming on one of these bags. And while I didn't have the chance to try that specific strap with my Mini Kelly, there was another one that was quite similar that I tried in the past, which is called, I believe, the Kelly, I think it's called the Pochette strap, which features a really similar wide band to the Kelly Pockets band. And it looked absolutely hideous on the Mini Kelly. It just looked inconsistent because you have this thick white strap, and when you cannot see the back, you can only see the strap, you're kind of expecting in your head to be a huge sort of over-the-top bag at the end of that strap. But when you actually notice this, it's like the two just simply don't go together. I know it's something that has been quite popular, but I find that most pictures that you see online, it's all about the angles and it's all about the way they make them seem like. In person, I don't think that they would look quite as good as they do look in pictures with those thicker straps, because I think it would just look disproportionate at the end of the day. But thankfully there are plenty of tips and tricks that you can do to make the strap of your bags longer, which I have an entire video on, so I'll make sure to have that linked up here. You can, long story short, basically add a chain extension to it, which you can buy online. If I can find any, I'll make sure to link them down below. You can add a piece of fine jewelry onto it. You can add a leather bracelet onto your pieces just to make the strap a little bit longer, which is something that I usually do. I usually use a Be Happy bracelet and attach it to one side over here onto the bag and then the other side onto the shoulder strap itself, which is something that you want to be careful with because it is not the most stable way of extending your shoulder strap. I have had this bag fall off of me because the Be Happy came apart and the bag went flying on the pavement, which was slightly heartbreaking, but thankfully it survived. So you do want to be careful if you're going to use any sort of DIY tricks. But at the end of the day, you can buy replacement straps. I would just recommend that you go for it with similar to the one that the bag originally comes with. Or you can also order a replacement strap directly from Hermes. So if you bought your bag from the boutique, you can take it back in. All you need is some sort of proof of purchase, and Hermes will be able to order a longer strap for you in the exact same color and leather that your bag is in. It is going to take about a year or so for the piece to arrive, and it costs quite a bit of money. I think it ranges between like $1,000 and $3,500 depending on the leather of your piece. So it is going to be a pricey investment, but if you love these bags and you use them on a regular basis as a crossbody bag, that might be the best thing for you to do. And believe it or not, the last thing I wanted to highlight about these bags is how incredibly easy and fuss-free they are to use. And let me explain. The reason why I'm even talking about this is because when it comes to buying such an expensive bag, I feel that there is usually a lot that we have to consider when we start using our pieces, especially if they are as difficult to get as the Mini Kelly. You have to worry about how long you're going to be out for. Is your bag going to become heavy? If you sit down somewhere, there needs to be somewhere for you to put your bag. If it starts raining or if it becomes too windy, you want to protect your bag the best you are able to. But when it comes to the Mini Kelly, I find it to be so painless, and I never really ever have any of these concerns because it is so lightweight and so compact that if I get to a restaurant and I need to sit down and there isn't anywhere for me to put my bag, I can easily leave it in my lap, or I can just leave it on crossbody if I have an extension with the strap, and it won't bother me throughout the day. If you drive and you don't know where to put your bag, the Mini Kelly does pack a punch and it will fit all your essentials. But at the same time, you won't have to worry about where you can put it because you can easily leave it in your lap and it won't be overwhelming or distracting. Let's say it starts raining or it becomes really windy when you're out. Because the proportions of this bag are so perfect, which is something that I have probably highlighted in this video like a million times, means that you can put this under your coat or your jacket and keep it protected. And because it's so tapered and so compact, it won't be bulging out in a weird way. I just find this to be the perfect bag. There's so much you can do with this, and no matter what you do with it, it just kind of adapts to what you need it to do. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because I know that this is a bag that is kind of a question mark for so many people. Is it big enough for me to be able to use it? Is it functional enough? And I find it to be just exactly all of those things. Now, obviously, this bag is not going to be for you if you like to carry the kitchen sink and more in your bag. But if you are someone who can really strip down everything you need to your essentials, I would not underestimate this bag. But this completes my video and my thoughts on the Mini Kelly. Do let me know what you think about these bags, and if you have any questions, you can always find me in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!